Hi, everybody. This is David Nevins for City Biz List. And today I have the great pleasure of interviewing one of my oldest and dearest friends and one of Marylanders' most well-known citizens, former Secretary of Commerce for the state of Maryland, Mike Gill. Mike, welcome.
David, thank you. Thanks so much. I look forward to this, and you're right. I mean, it is what it is, being one of your oldest friends.
And Mike, I can't wait to hear what you have to say.
Well, I feel the same way because, once we start talking, anything can happen.
Anyway, for our viewers, as I mentioned, Mike is not only Governor Hogan's former Secretary of Commerce, he's a motivational speaker. He is the chairman of Evergreen Advisory. And Mike, I'd like to ask you to talk a little bit about that. He's the founder of Americom Wireless, a successful business that he sold a number of years ago. So Mike, why don't we just start off with what are you doing today? I know you're chairman of the board of Evergreen. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, thank you, David. I joined Evergreen initially back around 2008. Rick Core, founder and chairman, and my partner. I sold the company in 2000, Americom, and worked for the company that acquired us for a couple years. And then I did a number of additional entrepreneurial things, and then teamed up with Rick. Evergreen Advisors is a middle market investment bank and advisory services firm, headquartered in Columbia. 30 plus team members, focused on. I've always liked to say the focus is around those key industry sectors that we know to be our strengths in Maryland, like life sciences, like cyber, like technology, education, et cetera. One little quick story. Governor Hogan gets elected in 2014. I get a phone call about, have you ever thought about being Secretary of Commerce? Which I said it was never on my radar screen. Rick Core, my partner at Evergreen, I met with him. He's the one who blessed my disappearing act for 4 years. And I disappeared, at least disappeared from Evergreen, made an appearance in Maryland. Gov got reelected, met with him in his office in Annapolis, and he said, "Hey, you think you got 4 more years in you?" I said, "Gov, I've had a blast. I can't thank you enough for the opportunity. We really made it happen. Maryland Open for Business." I said, "But I'm going back to the private sector." And his response was, "Take me with you." And I said, "No, Gov, it's very important that you stay in the job that you're in because you're doing a great job for Maryland." And so Evergreen Advisors, I'm back to Evergreen. As chairman, back with Rick Core, back with the team again, and enjoy that.
Take a minute, Mike. I know you're in investment banking there. Just maybe in somewhat layman's terms, tell us what Evergreen does.
Yeah, well, David, the investment bank, we are engaged by businesses in those industry sectors that I described. Those companies typically are going to have a valuation somewhere between 10 and a couple $100 million in revenue, and we represent them. We do our very best to identify other organizations that would have an interest in acquiring those companies or potentially raising capital for those companies. Mid-Atlantic is our focus. Majority of our work is inside the state of Maryland. Yeah, but we also have a very successful practice in what we call CFO outsourcing, valuation work, also consulting services, which includes location services. Helping companies find new sites and negotiating tax incentives for them. So that's a little bit of a smorgasbord of what we do at Evergreen.
That's great. And I know you guys are on a real roll there. So congratulations on that success. Mike,
Yes, thank you.
You mentioned a minute ago, Maryland is open for business. And so if I'm not mistaken, that was your and the governor's and the state of Maryland's, I guess, slogan for your department, commerce, and how you would seek to bring businesses here and help existing businesses grow. So how do you think you did, and how's the state doing in that regard, developing new business?
Well, we made tremendous progress in those in the governor's first term. Again, I had never had a government job. Governor Hogan and I laughed about it because he had really never had one either. He had been Bob Ehrlich's appointment secretary, but I introduced him one time at a dinner in Annapolis, and before I introduced him, I said, "Now, Gov, let me get it straight. Did you even make student government at DeMatha?" He goes, "No, I didn't even get elected to that." I said, "Well, then we're equals." So when I first met with him about this opportunity, you know, I literally gave him a copy of my favorite book. And when I would say that, people would like lean in like, "Oh, I can't wait." And they'd get out their pen, getting ready to write down, "Oh, this is Mike's favorite book that he gave the governor a copy of." And I gave him a copy of my favorite book, Little Engine That Could. I said, "Hey, Gov, I mean, it's all about opportunity, optimism, resilience, all the above." And at that time, and I even wrote in the book, "Hey, Gov, Maryland, open for business." And for a year or so, we just kind of used it as almost, David, like a throwaway line, though it was really what we were trying to do, is open up Maryland to everyone. And I came along the concept of the culture of yes. And in Maryland, there are over 500,000 businesses that have a tax ID. Everything from the big guys like Marriott and McCormick, Lockheed Martin, to the little guys, you know, 2 women that have a dress shop in Cumberland. And the common denominator is they're all customers. So the culture of yes was every single time someone would say to us at Commerce, "How can we," they would ask for our help. And I'd say, "Yes." And they would often say, "Well, this might be hard." And I'd say, "Well, good. We're hoping it's going to be hard." So we formalized Maryland Open for Business. We created a public-private partnership, which gave us the flexibility at Commerce to go out and ask companies in Maryland to invest in our ability to promote the theme Maryland Open for Business. 39 companies in Maryland committed $5 million to helping us to do that at Commerce. And David, I've always liked to say that during those 4 years, we kicked Virginia's butt all 4 years in job growth. Because everybody always thought, Maryland? I'd say, yeah, Maryland. So Maryland Open for Business, we really put teeth into it, and it worked.
Well, Mike, you might be aware of the fact that the fruits of your labor are about to show again. I understand that in the next month or two, Baltimore is going to have its first 2 Fortune 500 companies in years, Sinclair Broadcast Group and McCormick Spice Company.
Fabulous. And you know, and that is awesome. And you know who's probably right behind them is T. Rowe Price.
Right.
They are knocking on the door. David, can I tell one very quick story about the Fortune 500 thing?
Please do.
Early on in the Commerce job, I was doing an interview, and they came in, and it was a good interview. It went 30 minutes, and at the end they said, "Hey, do you have any goals for Maryland?" And I said, "Yeah, to bring a Fortune 500 here before the end of the governor's first term." So of course I got a call from the governor's office, who said, "Mike, that's really terrific. Who do you have in mind?" I said, "I don't know," but I said, "We got to have big goals." Right. So though I was off a little bit on the schedule, it's encouraging the fact that Baltimore will be able to put up the flag and welcome 2 new members to the Fortune 500, and hopefully this time next year welcome another in T. Rowe Price.
Yeah, I think that's likely to happen. Mike, when we were talking earlier, and you, of course, as Secretary of Commerce, experienced this a great deal. That businesses are, particularly during a pandemic, but generally anytime, they can be mobile. And I mentioned to you that I had just read that Palm Beach County in Florida was actually seeking to get the New York Stock Exchange, believe it or not, the New York Stock Exchange, to move to Palm Beach County, Florida. That might be an extreme example, but I think a lot of folks don't realize that if you don't have a good customer base, well-trained employees, and just as importantly, if not more importantly, a tax structure that encourages businesses to stay and to grow, that they're movable. And could you comment on that a little bit based on your commerce experience?
Yeah, David. First of all, there has never been, for those states that are prepared for success, that's never been a better time to potentially attract some of these great companies around the United States to their state. And if you look at Maryland, and first of all, if you just look at the ingredients, and David, you were referring to a number of them, of the ingredients that it's almost like check the box. And there's a number of things that pretty consistently organizations look for in states that they might consider moving to or setting up an operation in. And you started to touch on some of them. They're looking for they're not looking for the best tax structure. They're looking for a favorable tax structure. One that doesn't say, we being government see you as a tax ID and an enterprise to pay taxes. It needs to be just the opposite. It says, we see you as a great organization that will bring jobs to our state, that will create opportunities for Marylanders, that will expand the ecosystem, et cetera. So you got to have a favorable tax structure. You have to have a culture. That culture is probably the missing piece. It's a big deal. The culture is one, it starts with the governor's office. It's not missing at that level, but it's where it's a team effort as it relates to embracing the theme of economic development. It starts at the governor's office. It runs throughout the elected officials. It comes together in all the business organizations around the state. It comes down to our schools, whether it's K through 12, higher ed, doing the very best they can to prepare students for greatness so they can contribute to the society of the state. And the beautiful thing is about Maryland, we're arguably number 2 or 3 when it comes to life sciences. We're really good. There are 30 federal government agencies that are headquartered in Maryland. No state can say that. We have these 2 incredible institutions in Baltimore called Johns Hopkins and the University of Maryland Medical System, the University of Maryland, Baltimore. These are huge assets. We've got Fort Meade and all the excitement around Patuxent down in St. Mary's County. We have the largest concentration of military facilities in the United States for a state of our size. And I've always said that we should never, ever refer to a Fort Meade as a military site. It's a technology center, as are all the other ones, like Aberdeen. It's a technology center that happens to be overseen by the military. So, David, you're right. It's a culture. There's never been a better opportunity. But companies want to go where they feel welcomed and they don't feel like a place that government is just basically going to be a pariah to them.
Yeah, Mike, I know you and I had both the pleasure and honor, and we learned that having served together on the University System of Maryland Board of Regents and the importance of educational systems. Mike, we only have a couple minutes left. When I didn't think there was anything I didn't know about you, but when I did a real quick Google search, and you were on the Maryland Wine Council. Now, how can I get on that?
It was. I mean, there was quite a lot. It was like a boot camp you had to go through to be able to become a member of it. But I persevered.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people don't know that Maryland also has a modest but rapidly growing wine industry, and you and I both, I know, have taken advantage of that a bit. Hey, Mike, in closing, tell me a little bit about MikeGillSpeaks.com and what you want to do in this next chapter of your professional career.
Well, I've got a lot of things, David. Eight young grandchildren that live near us in Baltimore. They certainly have a place for our schedule. Very, very wonderful children. No, but Mike Gill Speaks. I probably spoke when I was in the commerce job, whether it was 20 people at a breakfast in Cumberland at 7:30 in the morning that I got up at 3 o'clock in the morning to make sure I got there, or it was 1,000 people in Ocean City at Mako. I probably spoke, 500, 600, 700 times. And I always worked hard to bring a message that was relevant, bring a message of optimism to groups of people. So I really just saw MikeGillSpeaks.com as an opportunity to build on those 4 years with messages that would resonate with the business community, resonate with the different industry sectors, things of that nature. So when we get through COVID, it put a little bit of a damper on MikeGillSpeaks.com.
I bet.
But when we get a little further out, hopefully second half of 2021, I'll get a chance to get out around the state once again, which I enjoyed so much during those 4 years, is touching every single one of those 24 jurisdictions and getting to know Maryland in a deeper, better way than I ever did before the commerce opportunity.
Well, as someone, Mike, who I wasn't at all 600 or 700 of your speaking engagements, but I was at more than my fair share probably. And I would say that if there's anybody watching this, any C-suiters who want to have for their boards of directors or their management teams a great motivational speaker who can talk about management and leadership and economic development, visit Mike Gill at Mike Gill Speaks. Hey, Mike, before we part, one last thing. I'm trying to ask people during this pandemic, a kind of an off-the-wall question. So have you and Mary found any great takeout restaurants? Where do you go for, who's the best delivery service? Or where do you pick up dinner that you can pass on a tip and help out a local restaurant with some new business?
Yeah, I'll give you two. I'll give you two in Charm City. I'll give you one on Eastern Avenue, La Scala. I love La Scala. Go ask say hello to Nino if you go by there. I've pulled up to the street there a few times. And I've always been a Bluestone fan. You and I have known Bluestone for a long time, and so Bluestone and La Scala, go give them your business.
Hey, Mike, thank you very much, and best to you going forward. My best to your family, obviously, as well. And so this has been David Nevins for City Biz List with my dear friend Mike Gill, and good luck going forward, Mike, and thanks for joining us today.
Great to see you, David.